Welcome to today's guided practice session. My name is Adam Maness. Today we are working on this super cool structure for voicings made famous by the great McCoy Tyner. These are often called quartal voicings, as in Q-U-A, quartal voicings, or fourths voicings, or I've heard them called a bunch of different things, but we're going to call them fourth voicings today because that's what I like to say. So I'm going to first teach you how to structure two different kinds of fourth voicings, and then we're going to practice them in a couple of different ways so that we can really lock them in and understand how they work. The cool thing about these fourth voicings is once you kind of get one structure set, the whole thing with them is that you can move them around diatonically. This is also called planing. So you can, once we set one, right, once we kind of have the structure of what one is, you can just move each note up the scale of the chord we're on. So we're going to start with just a bog standard C minor 7 voicing. Now this is in all fourths. Now you may have seen this voicing before, you may have seen both of these voicings before, but we're going to work on them today. That's what we do. It's not like we just have something, even if we know it and it's wrapped up forever in every key. We have to come back. We have to work on these fundamentals. There's always some things to clean up too. There's always some ways that we're playing, some sounds that we can try to get, some variety that we can try to get, some control that we can try to get as we grow as pianists, as we grow as musicians. So C minor 7. This is such a great voicing to work on because it captures that McCoy fourth sound right away, right? So we're going to also think about this maybe from the top down as opposed from the bottom up. I want to start thinking about things like this as that is really where we learn how to, when we think about voicings from the top down, we learn how to create melodies, counter melodies, all kinds of things with the voicing when we are able to think of it from the top down. So let's start there with the C on top, right? This is the root on top. We just go down in the key of C minor, right? In a C Dorian, C, G, D in our right hand, A and E flat in our left hand. Now you could do 3 in your left and 2 in your right. No one's saying you can't do that. Just for me, this is how I've always thought of it, so this is how I do it. If it works better for you to flip that, do it that way. Whatever works best for you. An advantage of doing it the way, the flip side of 3 in your left, is that when we want to then do single note lines in our right hand and comp with our left hand, we have beautiful fourth voicings. Right there in our left hand, ready to go. But for me, when I'm comping or even soloing with these kinds of voicings, I do 3 in the right, 2 in the left. Just my preference. So we have this basic structure, right? C, D, G in the right hand, A and E flat in the left hand. This is where sort of the brilliance and the ease of use comes out. We can simply move these around diatonically, moving each note up that C Dorian, right? C Dorian is C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat. And then we're back at C. Moving up this C Dorian scale, each note, all the way up and all the way back. This gets us that sound of and then when we start adding chromaticism in, which we will in just a little bit, we really complete the whole picture, right? It is that sort of mid-60s McCoy-ish sound that nearly every jazz pianist since has at some time absorbed and understood how that works. Let's just do some work getting this in our hands. We're gonna go up, starting here on this first one. We'll go all the way up here, what's written, and then once we get back to C up here, we'll take these back down all the way. Every time we're changing, we're just moving each one of these notes up that C Dorian scale, right? So it's just like a C major scale, but with a minor third and a minor seventh, an E flat and a B flat. Let's try it. Quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, and. Can repeat that top note as we go back down. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3. Play with me. And. Oh, these are so great. Back down. All fourths. You know, some are tritones, right? Or augmented fourths. Some are perfect fourths. That's kind of the glory of it, is that there are all these tensions that happen as we move it around. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, and. Again, 2, 3, and. Something to consider fingering-wise. I'm starting here with my 4th finger on the C. I have a fairly big spread here that I can work with, so you can get a bit of a smoother sound if you have that top finger alternate somewhat between the 4th and 5th. So like while I'll have 4 on top for the C, when I go to that D, I'll have the pinky on top, the 5th finger. And then when I go to the E flat, back to the 4th, 5th, 4th, 5th, 4th for the B flat. Really important that the 4th finger can be on black keys, right? Because that's usually a little bit, especially in 4ths, it's usually a little bit of a shorter span than all white keys. So you can really work that out. But luckily it works just perfectly with this scale to alternate starting on the 4, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5 as we go up. Let's try that. 2, 3, and 4, and. Repeat that. Back down. Again, 2, 3, and. All right, let's put this in a little bit of action. Let's practice this, how we might use it in the real world. What I want to do is I will play the bass and we'll put the metronome on 2 and 4 here, and we'll just play around on a C minor as if we're on a modal tune, resolution or something like that, right? Contemplation, maybe some kind of modal tune that McCoy would play. What I want you to do is, first things first, if we're doing this, you gotta do the 5th bombs, C and G down there. This is the thing, right? And then you jump up here. I want you to practice hitting those 5th bombs and then coming up to that 1st C, right? And then just practice planing, right? We'll call this planing, but just sliding around diatonically, like using these voicings. You don't have to treat it like a scale exactly, but as I'm walking the bass, just practice going between all of this diatonically. Yes. One little thing with the notation there. Yeah, that last chord is just B flat, F, C, and then G and D, right? Let's try. I will play the bass. You will drop that C, G bomb, and then start comping with these. And remember, the goal of the comping isn't just to stay on one. We don't want to just stay on one. The whole point of these is that we can slide them around. You can practice skipping. All of that is going to come in handy as we really want to comp. Let's try it. And don't forget the bombs. Every so often, actually, you can just... Let's try it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and... Don't forget your bombs here. And then really just explore these. Practice taking these fourths all around in that C Dorian sound. A little more here. Here we go. All right. That is so nice. Okay. We got somewhere with this, right? We have a vision on some McCoy-ness in this. So what I want you to do now, we're going to do one more play along with this, where I want you to practice the same thing. Dropping our bombs, C and G low, and then starting on that with that C on the top. If you could start on another one, if you can just pick one out, that's cool too. But, you know, rely on that home base of that C on top, that first voicing here. I want you to, again, practice moving these around. And then I want you to practice adding some chromaticism to this. Now, before we do this, you might actually think about doing this in B minor with a B Dorian and doing this in D flat minor, that D flat Dorian. You don't have to. And in fact, you can just pick one of these and just practice going chromatically up, chromatically down, but using chromaticism here as we go. Going up and down on the tonal centers just a half step below or just a half step below, above, either D flat Dorian or B Dorian, can make a huge difference. Now you can just practice getting there by one of these voicings, right? Via just going up or down a half step. Let's try that. So we'll do the same thing where I will play the bass line, drop those C and G bombs down below. It's really the fun of it. I mean, you could really get into it. It's like, when do pianists have that kind of get up and go kind of power here in the rhythm section? This is our opportunity here. Practice that, and then let's practice again moving these around and then kind of going up and down chromatically, shifting in and out, and practice it on different ones. Practice it on the C. Practice on with the E flat on top, with the G on top, all of them. Just see what you can do with the chromaticism. If you're comfortable going up and down in the B Dorian sound, do that too. Let's try it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and. Don't forget your bombs here. shifting up and down in half steps from our standard voicings we see here, right? We're just kind of going in and out of C minor, either up to D flat minor 7, right? A D flat Dorian sound, or down to B, to like a B Dorian sound. And we can get there by taking any of these voicings, either up or down chromatically, or both. A little bit more here. Here we go. Yeah. That's the stuff. Isn't that great? Isn't that so cool? Isn't that so much fun? I love doing this stuff so much. Okay, I got another shape for you. Check this out. Same kind of concept, right? We start with fourths, and this time we might think from the bottom up on this time, just because of the nature of the shape. If we start there on the root of C minor 7, we go up in fourths, we do 4 fourths. And then at the top, we put on a third. It happens to be a major third on this shape, but some of these will be a minor third. Because again, we're just now taking this shape up diatonically. These are also known as so what voicings, right? Where you have the, right, from the famous Miles tune, So What? But these work just as well as straight fourths. In fact, it gets us a different sound. And eventually what we can do is combine these, right? We can combine the so what voicings, straight fourths, all kinds of things, as long as it's diatonic in that C Dorian. That's kind of the important part. We can start messing around with all different kinds of shapes in our hands. It doesn't, not that it doesn't matter, but there's a lot of possibilities. We don't have to be so strict with, and now I just play fourth, and now I just play fourths with a third on top. We can really stretch out what we want to do to clusters and all kinds of things, as long as we're kind of in that palette, right, that color palette of C Dorian. Let's try this. Let's do the same thing we did with the straight fourths, and let's just go up in quarter notes, starting here with what I have written. When we get to that top up here, we'll just restrike it and come back down. Let's just get these in our hands. Let's try it. Again, another thing too, if these are kind of like, you know these, or this isn't anything new to you, can you play this right now with everything struck perfectly, with a great, beautiful sound on your instrument, with a perfect balance between your hands and every finger striking perfectly? Probably not. I can't. And that's what I work on when I work on simple things like this. And I think it's really important to come back to fundamentals like that. How we play what we play is just as important, if not way more important, honestly, than what we're actually playing. We have to consider the sound, the touch, the timing, all of that. Can you line it up with this click just perfectly at a relatively slow quarter note? Let's try it. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and... down. Let's do it again. 2, 3, and 4, and. Again, just getting these shapes in our hands. Let's try it again. Play with me. 2, 3, and 4, and. What's so cool about this is, you know, we can take this through in any key as we practice this. And and just practice going through these Dorian scales. And it works with other modes too, but right now we're just focusing on Dorian. But that's the point, is it's modal, right? We take it and we can slide it around. We can plane. It's called planing sometimes. Let's try it again. 2, 3, and 4. All right, you got the idea. We got probably close to being in our hands, but we know that we actually need to put this in a real life situation. So let's put it in a real life situation. Let's put it in the same situation that we put the straight fourths. I'll play the bass, you drop some bombs. And then come here to our home voicing, right? This first voicing we have written, and start just sliding these around. Get used to the sound. See if you can come up with a melodic comping concept behind this. Imagine that John Coltrane is playing over you, and what are you doing underneath that? Imagine there's a great soloist doing something, or that you're just soloing with these voicings. You can do that as well. And in fact, you hear McCoy do that all the time. He'll, in peak moments of his solo, put in some of this chordal diatonic movement as melodic material for a solo. So it's good to think about that as well. Let's try it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and... Don't forget about dropping those bombs. It's my favorite part. I don't mind. As the bass player, I don't mind. Here we go. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. We can now do the same thing with the straight fourths that we did with the straight fourths, where we take them diatonically to our neighbors, right? Either B minor or D flat minor, just by using these shapes as jumping off points. So once we get like up to here, for instance, practice getting, especially with these kind of weirder shapes, like, and then just see if you can jump to, for a while, B minor, right? If you're here, if we're right here with, like, you know, with the ninth on top, see if you can just jump and just stay in B minor for a minute, right? Can you get all those notes in that key, right? It's just the key of A, right? It's 3 sharps. It's not a lot to deal with. Can we remember? Can we immediately go there? That's the kind of thing that's going to help lock this in and help you become an overall better musician. It's a great way to practice this stuff. Let's try it. I'm just going to try using these voicings as a jumping off point to slide in and out of the keys right next to it, either a half step below or a half step above. Here we go. And don't forget to drop your bombs. 1, 1, 2, 3, and. Really slide those in and out right around those C minor chords. Perfectly acceptable to be clashing with the bass any of those times. That's what you're doing. You're building tension to resolve it. So make sure you're going back to C minor 2. Here we go. Something like that. Super, super cool. Okay. We have these two great structures in C minor, right? So we have our fourth here. This is our second structure. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller because we'll put both of them up here. We have our fourths with the third on top, and we have our straight fourths, right? Just all fourths. Let's see if I can make this look just a little bit nicer. Probably not. No. There we go. So there's our fourths there on top, just the straight fourths, and there's our fourths with the third on top. So what if we practice going between a couple of different keys? I think the first key that I think of that is an easy switch is the key of C major, or the key of A minor, right? So if we went here from C minor and we practice going to A minor, right? A Dorian, right? It has one sharp, right? That F sharp. We can start here with our A on top, just building down in fourths, knowing that it's a Dorian that has that F sharp in the key. And just practice going up, right? That A Dorian sound. That's so pretty. Or if we want to start here, right? With the fifth on top, with the A on bottom. Again, knowing that we have an F sharp in here. Just taking it immediately through another key, but kind of an easy key. Like, it's not really related at all to C minor. It's a minor third below it. But because there's a ton of white keys in it, we could do D minor, I guess, but this is a little more, it's a little bit different. It's going to sound a little bit cooler, I think. So let's do this. We're going to do 8 bars of C minor, and you can use either of these voicings. In fact, I think it's really a great idea if you're kind of comfortable switching between the two. Just start anywhere with the major third on top or just straight fourths, and then start moving them around, and then start kind of going between having them all fourths or a major third on top. We'll do 8 bars of C minor, and then I'm going to call it maybe even a little more. I don't know. I'm just going to call it. I'll count off A minor, and then I want you to go straight to that A minor and see if we can get that without too much trouble. Remember, we're using our home voicings here. The one with the third on top starts with the root on the bottom, and straight fourth starts with the root on the top. So you can just consider that as, even if you don't get anything else, I'm just going to get that. I'm just going to get those first home voicings. Let's try it. It should be fun. This will be a great test of our brains as far as like, even if we get this wrong, like even if it is kind of challenging to think about and takes us a minute to get, that's a really good thing. That means that we are learning this, that it's being locked in. So don't be frustrated if it's hard. It should be a little hard. We're learning some new stuff. It's got to be hard, or else it's not going to be worth doing, right? If it's not hard, then we're not learning anything. We're just kind of playing by rote and not growing at all. So the hardness, the difficultiness is, if that's, I don't think that's a real phrase, but that difficulty is what makes growth possible. So just consider that as things get hard here. Let's try it. C minor for a while, and then I'll count off A minor. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and stop. Hold on. Before, I just want to remind you, you can do bombs on both of these, and I highly encourage it because it really is the fun part. Little bomb with the sustain pedal to get up there. That don't sleep on the fun of this. That is the fun. And then when we go to A, oh yeah, that's a big juicy bomb. So don't sleep on that. Let's try it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. How about A minor? Back to C. Still on C. How about A minor? Stay on that A minor. Here we go. A minor. Come on, Hammer 88. Let's go. C minor. A minor. Back to C minor. Here we go. Super duper fun. Well, that's it. That's all I got for this, but it's a great jumping off point, and it's really, really applicable to really any key you want to do. It's great to start for modal tunes. There are other ways we can use these, but just starting simply here with 1 chord or 2 chords or 3 chords, however you want to work it, is really the way to go. And then starting with these basic shapes of either all fourths or a fourth with a third on top is also, I think, a great way to start. So thanks for your practice today. Until next time, happy practicing. And by the way, don't forget to support Jazz House Kids. Click the link below. It helps keep these live streams going, these live guided practice sessions going, and your proceeds of the donation goes straight to Jazz House Kids, a wonderful organization. So thanks, y'all. Have a great one. Happy practicing. Cool, cool, cool. I'm going to just check the comments here, make sure there's no questions. You can hit me up here in the chat if you have any questions about any of this. Thanks for your practice today. This is super fun. Yes, Luke, difficultiness. I said that. I said that on purpose. I had a 7th sharp 9 on one of the chords by accident. Cool sounds. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like there's no rules to any of this, really. Zhu, how could I use this for a 2-5-1 or in other chord qualities? So there's ways to do it. The first way that you might think about is simplifying what you think a 2-5-1 is. To really, like, if we're going to like B flat, you know, you can use these C minor, and then instead of doing like a straight functional harmony to like an F7 flat 9 or an F altered, which you could do, to like kind of hang onto this modal sound, you can go to like B major 7, which would be like a F sharp kind of sound, or just like an maybe a B Lydian sound, you know. And then you're onto your B flat, which maybe that's a Lydian as well. It's really up to your ear for that. But these don't work quite as well. Like the voicings themselves work in any situation for 2-5s with functional harmony and flat 9s and sharp 9s and all that stuff. No problem. But the idea of planing these through diatonically doesn't work as well outside of like a modal context where you have at least a little bit of room on the chord and the chord necessarily isn't leading somewhere, that you can have these ambiguous shapes that happen. I think that's key. Let's see. How high up can you use these on the keyboard? Colleen, as high up as you feel like. There's really no limit. I think they sound really good way up here, actually. They sound actually nice, and I use these as like finishers on tunes all the time. Sound great. Cheers, Colleen. Thank you. Eric, I think I just kind of answered that. You can use them on standard tunes, but you just have to pick your spots, especially with the planing. Triad +1 and thirds in the right hand sound awesome with these. Word. Thanks, everybody. Thank you. Cool. Right on, folks. Thanks for your practice today. See y'all next time. I'll be here on Friday. Hey, tonight, Peter Martin and I are listening to Miles Davis live at the Black Hawk Friday night album. So come check us out. That's our live session right here on the Open Studio YouTube channel. So hope to see you then. Thanks, y'all. Have a great rest of your day. Happy Tuesday, everybody. See ya.